Hello, this is Mark again. Video number 5. Okay, so what we've got is, well, let's see. Click on that. Here's our schematic. I arbitrarily just connected these GPIO lines up to these transistor array drivers and connected them through just as convenience. You know, that may not be the correct. When we look at the layout, I'm looking at where these things are connected, and these rat's nest lines kind of give me a good hint. You know, you can see all of these go heading off over to here. So let me just move this. I'm grid set really big at the moment. Let me just take that down to something small. And if I just if I move this, you can see where they're connected. They're all connected on the other side of the IC. So I would have to route all of those around, and you know, I get to control this stuff. So if I rotated this, now I'm going to ignore the connections to the other units. Let's see. I could be, I know this looks worse at the beginning, but all of these input lines now are directly close to the pins. If I rearrange them, they'll actually be really easy to run. So that might be better, and you know, I don't have a physical design constraint for the size of the board or where connectors are. So I'll probably end up flipping all of these connectors over to the other side of the whole thing. Now, the other things that we can do is we look for little things that we can improve upon. There's a couple of things I want to make sure that we get really close. One is with the layout, we were really close to getting these resistors here all nicely set. I kind of like the way that looks, so that's probably going to stay where it's at. Now, the other thing that we need is the crystal and those two caps that go with the crystal. If I move those, you know, if I look at where that's connecting, let me just move the crystal here. There we go. You can see that those two pins that it connect to are on the bottom side of that micro. So let me put this down here somewhere. This is the memory chip. Let me get that out of the way. I'm just not going to deal with it for the moment. Plus, it connects to the top side. So if I take this and kind of treat it as a single, that and the two capacitors that go with it, treat it as a single item. So these are the two caps that go with it. We moved those closer to it earlier. So let me just grab those. Oh, that's the LED. Let's see, where am I at? I need, let's go back to the schematic. I need C6 and C7 connect to the crystal and nowhere else. Well, they connect to ground, but ground ends up almost everywhere. 3.3 ends up almost everywhere. So all we need to do is we need to keep those kind of close together. So I need C6. Oh, I think I can. It's harder to work when you're on the tiny screen. If I click on that and go back to the layout, here's my C6. No, that's C7. Close enough. We'll take that one. And I'll zoom out. And I want that by the crystal. And then, let me go back to schematic. Let me click on this one. There's my C6. You know, I could turn my references back on so I could find things easier. Okay, so those two go in that particular vicinity. The other one that we have, let's move the switch out of the way too. I'm just going to put it up here for the moment. So we'll just move this. And you can see, if I get too close, then I can't run the other traces out from the microprocessor. So I need to be down just a little bit. But if I get too far away, that could be RF problems and things like that. I really haven't had much problems with student design boards by putting this thing in a bad spot, but there's no need to push it. Now, see, that one's connected there. Let me rotate this around. And I'm going to put it just right into here. And this one, too, I'm going to move it. So that pin connects there. So I can do this. I can zoom back in a little closer. Well, that looks not too bad. So I've got the grounds near each other, and this trace goes up to pin 3. This one goes to pin 1, and then those two signals go on up to the micro. You know, that doesn't look too shabby. I'm trying to think of things I can put, you know, we kind of wing part of this until it starts looking good. Now I've got this 3-pin connector up here. When I do this without video recording, I do it on a much larger screen. I've got this connection, this connector here, which is SW clock, SWD. This is our programming interface for when we're not doing the plug-in, do the USB thing. And it doesn't really go anywhere else. It's on pins 24 and 25 of the micro. So I can come back here and let me just select this whole thing and move it. And you can see it's also connected on the bottom side. So let me move that somewhere where it makes more sense. In fact, it's kind of nice to have that near the edge of the board. So I'm going to bring it all the way down here. And I can put it pretty close. We'll tweak some of the final movements of this. You know, there's a ground that's right there. That's only 2 traces that come up. And, you know, I can move this whole microprocessor mess down quite a bit. So I'm going to take this whole, the micro and the crystal, and I'm going to move it quite a ways down here. And over just a little. It may not be in its final spot yet, but we're just thinking about things here. So now I've got those there. So I could probably wire that okay without much problems. These traces come in, they go clear up onto the top side. You know, we do have 2 sides of this board, so we can probably get those 2 through. This part, you know, I'm looking where it's connected, and most of the pins are actually on the left. So I'm going to put it over here, and I'm actually going to flip it over again. And it'll end up going next to the other part, but we're just going to bring this down here. And again, this one we can move down to really close also, since we moved everything else down. Now I know a lot of these, I mean, the goal is to usually reroute, put the parts so you don't have all this crisscrossing, because that's a routing mess. But I've got the advantages that I don't really care which I/O pin connects to which one. That's a software problem when I get to the other side, and it'll be really easy to resolve. So I can fix that later. Now let's see what else we got. Let's go ahead and put the memory chip down someplace where we can get to it. And the memory chip, it connects just to the top side of the micro here. So we're going to just plop it up here. Now on the schematic, I have some capacitors that go in various places. Let's see where we at with everything else here. Let's go back to schematic for a second. I did not put a bypass cap on the memory chip. You know, I think I really want one. It's kind of, you know, they don't take up much space. They don't cost hardly anything. So another 100 nanofarad there would probably be a good idea. So let me move the label out of the way here for a moment. That's U3, and that is the type of chip. And I'm gonna make a change to the schematic. So I'm going to duplicate this 100 nanofarad cap, and I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and route it between power and ground. Okay, I can save that. Let me go back to the layout, and I'm going to say update the layout from the schematic, update PC board, and then close. And here's my cap that it just inserted, that's C9. And I could put that up here. Let's see here. I want to put that, well, the ground's there, power's there. So if I rotate this twice, I can at least make one of these wires easy to reach. Well, let's just put it right here for the moment. We'll see what that does. Okay. A lot of things that we still have to move. Okay, so let me grab... Now these connectors that I spent all this time putting in really nice locations, I'm going to move them off to the left because they're going to have to go on the other side of these parts anyway. So let me move them over there for the moment, and I'll probably readjust them again. But they're already set at nice 1/10 inch center spacings. So if I set my grid back up to 0.1, I can go ahead and move these things. In fact, let me just move them all. Oh, I can't get all of that. Let's just grab these three. And I'm just going to move them out here just so they're not touching anything. And I'll probably move the edge of the board too. So we're just... These two guys will end up going over there too. So let me just set them here for the moment. Okay. So I've got that. I've got all these other parts in here. Oh yeah, we've got the display connector. That's kind of an important part. Let's see. I'm not sure which way it goes. If I put the display connector in a bad spot, the issue with it is the display hangs off the edge. So what I need to do is go grab the display and see what it looks like. Let's see, I might have it in here. Okay, so I've got... Okay, it's out of focus. It's not going to focus on that. Okay, I've got the display, and the order of the pins are ground, VCC, SCL, SDA. So those have to go, for this chip, that has to be in that particular order. And I can pick whatever one's which. So one of these is grounded. Okay, pin 1 is already ground. So if I plug this into the board, the display is going to hang out this way. And I really don't want it to hang off the edge. So let me rotate this thing. And I want to rotate it like this. That will put the display down below. Okay, now also with that, we've got SCL, SDA, and there's two resistors that go with that. R11 and R12. Those are the pull-up resistors for the I2C interface. So R11 and R12. So if I just click on one of these and select it, I think that should take, there's R11. And R12 is right below it. So if I take this part and I can move it, I'm gonna just put it up here with that connector at first. And then this is the SCL one. Let's move that one. Just to kind of keep these things together. Now, the other thing we added was this massive connector, because I didn't know what else to do with all these extra not used pins. This J9, I just packed it full of pins just to make it easy for me. Let me move that to where it makes sense. So if I take this and say move, oh, come on. You can see all of those traces are on the other side. In fact, they're in the exact wrong order. So let me just rotate this twice. That'll make the layout, running the traces, really, really easy. In fact, that takes up almost all of the traces on that side of the part. Now, if I go in here and look, these last four down here, they got X's on them. They don't go anywhere. I may want to put test points on them or something like that, so if I ever decide I want to tack a wire on those, I can. I keep doing that, and I keep thinking I'm going to use that, and then I don't, but, you know, that's kind of just what it is. Okay, well, the board's starting to get a little closer, and it still looks like I can run all the traces, and I might even be able to get it a little bit tighter. But this is the one we can deal with right now. Let me turn on my references so we can see what's what. So on U4, pin 7, I want to actually, let's see, how do I want to wire this? Let me move these guys out of the way. I know that the button ends up by the memory chip. I know that these parts can go a little closer. So, in fact, I may not even want them. I may want to rotate this one this way. Let's see. We're going to just keep moving things till we get them the way we want. Okay. The first pin that we have that we're going to, okay, there's SDL, this is the I2C, SDA, SCL. SM1A is the first one that's actually the motor stuff. Let me go to the schematic for the second. So that goes to the schematic, and that's U4 pin 1. I actually want that to go to pin 7. So let me just swap those two. And I'll save that. Back to layout. This is a little bit of a slow process. Update from printed circuit board. That gives me this menu. And we just say update and close. Now this blue line just appeared. So this is our first line, and it goes right to this one. And the bottom one of pin 1 goes down here. So that looks like it'll actually work way better since I swapped those two. So I need to swap the other ones. So let's swap the other ones and make sure that that all works good. So I want to swap this one. It has to go up there with this guy. And then I want to move this one down there, and this one goes up, and this one goes in. Okay. Save it. Back to circuit board. Update PC board. Close. Now look at my traces. They're just easy to run. All I need to do is just get the traces out there. I don't have to cross them. I don't have to go over and under things. So that'll make it really easy for traces to come out. This one, you know, these wires are going to come out and they're going to do the same thing. They're all going to be reversed from what I was originally thinking. You know, I was a guess at the first shot. So let me just reverse those also. So that would be this guy. So let me just reverse all of these. So if I move that down to there, move that one, I'll let them overlap for the moment, move that to there, and move this one to there. Now I can take this one, move it there, take this one, move it there, and put these back. Save it. Back to the layout. Update. Update. Close. Now these wires just come out and just go straight over. So as long as I've got enough room to do that, it should be just fine. I do have several wires coming straight down. Here's a ground wire that's going to go somewhere eventually. There's a 3.3. So these last two are a little bit of a pain. But the rest of them are just going to come straight out and go right over. So it should be easy to route. And I may want to, as I start doing the layout, I might want to move these closer depending on how much space I've got. So that's going to be our bounding things. Okay, so I've got these resistors up here that I haven't figured out where they're supposed to go yet. Let's go look back at the schematic. I've got those I think I've taken care of already. R6 goes to pin 26. So where's that one at? Here's R6. That goes clear at the bottom. And I've also got my grid set big again. Let me fix that. Let me go the grid small again, so I can move things smoother. And this goes between 3.3 volt and this is part of the regulation. So I'm just going to, now ignore the R6 and the 10K notifications. All I really need is these boxes not to cross, and they've got to have enough space to get traces to them. So there's one. What else is on that R6? So R6 doesn't, oh, that's just the run line that goes to pin 26. Okay. We've also got R5 and C3, which is the A to D converter pin on pin 43. Let's see, where's that come out at? R5 and C3. There's R5. That connects over there. You know, that's really convenient, because if we just put it off here, those two traces could just connect. Now, the other side of this one also has a capacitor on it. So this C3 goes to ground from the other side of R5. So if I click on that, that'll tell me where it is. There it is. Let's move that. Zoom back out. Zoom back in. It goes there, and on the other side of it is ground. As I said, there's a lot of grounds here. Let me rotate this twice. And I'm going to put it up here, and that R8 is going to get moved on me too. So I'm just going to put it up here. And then I'm going to move. This has to do with the memory chip, so that all gets moved anyway. Escape key to get the right one deselected. Oops. Okay. So this has to do with the switch stuff. So let's move it up here. What else we got? R8 and R7 and switch all connect to pin 1 of the memory chip. So there's R8, R7, R8, and switch. Okay, I need R7 in the switch. Here's R7. So these two connect right together. And they go to that memory. Let's see, how's that connect again? We've got the switch goes to ground. The 1K R8 goes to the switch, and then it goes over there, and then the other side of R7 is the 3.3. So I need the R7. Well, this is 3.3. Here's our pin 1. So this chip right here, this resistor, really goes about here would make it easy, because here's 3.3, there's 3.3. That makes it really easy to get to. This QSPI SS line connects straight down to pin 1, and that's really easy. Now the other one is I've got this resistor that goes to the switch, and I can set that, because those two traces go together. And then this one goes to there. So I can move this switch to wherever it needs to be. But it can't stay quite there because it's in violations. Okay, let me... Where do I want it? Let's see. We're going to try to get the board halfway small. You know, I bet I can put it right here. Okay. We've still got some bypass caps. Let's see, I got C4. C4 is a bypass cap. Let me look on the schematic where I want that. Oh, well, if I do it this way, if I click on it, and then I go to the schematic, it takes me to that. So that's the one for the processor. So let's put that by the processor. Now, there's quite a few grounds and pluses there. That's kind of a crowded area already. So it's telling me that there's parts there. Let me just move this up, because that's obviously going to be a 3.3. I want to be out far enough that I can get around that part when I actually start working on it. Let me move this guy out of the way a little bit. Oh, come on now. Let's see. I still have to have room to get those traces through, but there's a ground right there on top. That'll be really convenient for me. I just have to have enough space to get this trace down up into there. And I think that'll work. If not, I can expand it just a little. Okay, let's go for, where's C5 connected? C5 is between the V out regulator. This is the 1.1 volt line. So it also goes to a couple of places. So let me move that. And it gives you a pretty good clue as to where it's going. And that's the pad we want it to go to. So if I just rotate this, I've already got a ground that's right there. So let me try this. Let me see if I can get this in pretty close here. So that's 3.3, 3.3. Here's the V regulator out that goes to the cap. These traces don't really cross each other, so that looks like it might work. Now I know that this whole connector can come down just a little bit too, so let me just bring that down a smidge. Okay. R9, R10. What the heck are those? Let me click on one. Go to schematic. Those are for the LEDs. Those are on pins 2 and 3. Okay. So these two guys connect to pins. Here's pins 2 and 3. So those two traces need to go to an LED or two. And I can put the LEDs anywhere I can run traces to them. They're not very picky on most of that stuff. And then we do have the LEDs themselves. Where are my LEDs? Let me go click on an LED. They're clear out there in the boonies. Okay, so these guys connect together. Where do I want them to be? You know, I think I'm going to want to put them right in this area here. So let me just take these two LEDs and move them. And I'm going to, we don't know exactly where we're going to end up yet. Let me see. Well, that's going to have to cross all those traces. I don't know if I care for that yet. So those are going to get moved yet again. But these two guys, they go with those two LEDs. You can see that the wires go straight to them. So if we just keep those all together as 4 devices, that keeps those runners really short. Okay, where's C8? I guess that's the next question. C8 is the bypass cap on the display. This is the I2C display connector. So we've got that 4-pin connector that's for the display, which is clear the freak up there. Okay. let's take, I want to take those devices and move them. We're going to move them way down. Keep trying to make the board smaller. I still don't like this whole area in here, but we'll deal. Oops. Okay, so this one we're going to put in here because it'll go between, there's 3.3 in ground. This part will go right up next to them. And I can move these around at this point. I can bring all of these right up next to it. And flip things around so the wires come out a little nicer. Okay. So that's the display. Okay, let's zoom out, take a look. That's not looking too bad. I'm sure I could shrink this out a little bit, and I think I'll start. I mean, this is close enough where I can start running traces. So what I'm going to do is start running traces on the next video and actually do some minor moving around just to get things a little bit tighter. And if I can get all the traces, you know, I'll start in a corner and kind of work my way out. And if I can get the traces where they need to go, then it's fine. So let's stop here. Let me save it. And we'll go on from here.